Welcome, dear one, to this moment of calm and stillness. You've reached the end of your day, and now it's time to let go, to rest, and to prepare your mind and body for a peaceful sleep. Begin by settling into your bed, finding a position that feels just right. Let the softness of your pillow cradle your head and the blankets wrap you in gentle comfort. Take a moment to notice how your body feels. If there's any tension, acknowledge it and then invite it to soften. You are safe here. You are exactly where you need to be. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs fully, and hold it for a moment. Now, exhale slowly and completely, feeling the day begin to fade away. Let's do that again. Breathe in deeply, hold for a beat, and exhale even slower this time. With each breath, feel yourself sinking deeper into your bed, as if the mattress is lovingly supporting you, holding you steady. Close your eyes now, if you haven't already, and allow your thoughts to grow quiet. Imagine that your mind is like a still lake at twilight, the surface smooth and calm. Let the ripples of the day disappear, one by one, until the water is completely serene. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a peaceful meadow. The sun is setting, casting the sky in soft shades of gold and lavender. A cool, gentle breeze brushes your skin, carrying the faint, sweet scent of blooming flowers and freshly fallen leaves. You hear the soft rustling of grasses and the chirp of crickets welcoming the night. You begin to walk slowly across the meadow, your steps light and effortless. With each step, you feel yourself leaving behind the busyness of the day. The meadow leads you to a small path lined with trees, their branches forming a canopy overhead. The air here feels calm and still, wrapping around you like a soft embrace. As you follow the path, you see a cozy cottage up ahead. Its windows glow with a warm, golden light, inviting you inside. This is your place, a sanctuary made just for you. You step through the door and are greeted by a sense of perfect peace. The air is warm, carrying the faint scent of lavender and cedar. A soft fire crackles in the hearth, filling the space with its comforting glow. In the corner of the room is a bed, perfectly made with soft, plush blankets and pillows that seem to call your name. You climb into the bed, feeling the perfect balance of support and softness. As you lie down, the weight of the day slips away. Your body feels heavy and relaxed, your mind calm and clear. You close your eyes in this peaceful place, listening to the quiet sounds of the crackling fire and your own steady breath. With every exhale, you feel yourself drifting deeper into relaxation, deeper into rest. There is nothing left for you to do. No thoughts to hold on to, no tasks to complete. This is your time to simply be. Let go of everything and allow sleep to gently carry you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are ready to rest. Good night, dear one. May your sleep be peaceful, and may your dreams bring you joy. Sparkles.
Chapter 1. The plane began its descent, slicing through wisps of white clouds as the turquoise waters of Bali's coast came into view. Anna pressed her forehead against the cool airplane window, her chest rising with a long, quiet sigh. For months, she and Elias had talked about this trip, weaving it together in hushed conversations during late nights after work. Now, the reality of their escape felt tangible, a promise of stillness after the storm of their busy lives. Elias leaned over, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Looks peaceful, doesn't it?" he asked softly. "More than I imagined," Anna replied, her eyes tracing the golden ribbons of sand and lush green hills below. The announcement to fasten their seatbelts broke the moment, and soon, they were taxiing on the tarmac of Ngurah Rai International Airport. The air hit them as they exited the plane, a warm, humid embrace carrying scents of salt, earth, and flowers. As they passed through the airport, their driver greeted them with an ear-to-ear smile, holding a sign that read, "Welcome Anna and Elias." He introduced himself as Putu and handed each of them a small garland of frangipani flowers. "You are arriving at a perfect time," he said in accented but fluent English. "The skies are clear, the gods are blessing this day." The drive to Ubud, where their villa awaited, was a gentle immersion into a new world. The narrow roads wove through small villages dotted with family compounds, ornate shrines, and temple gates adorned with colorful offerings. Motorbikes buzzed past, their riders balancing baskets of fruit, flowers, or the occasional squawking chicken. Fields of rice stretched out in emerald waves, broken only by tall palm trees swaying in the breeze. Anna leaned back, letting the rhythmic hum of the car lull her into a tranquil daze. "This feels like a painting," she murmured. "It's better than that," Elias said, snapping a photo of a farmer working in the distance. "It's alive." When they arrived at their villa, it felt like stepping into a dream. The property was perched on the edge of a verdant valley, surrounded by terraced rice fields that cascaded down like giant steps. The villa itself was a masterpiece of Balinese design, a symphony of natural wood, stone, and open spaces that blurred the line between indoors and out. Carved wooden doors stood ajar, revealing a cozy sitting area that opened to a private infinity pool. A gentle breeze carried the fragrance of frangipani and jasmine, mixing with the faint, melodic clanging of gamelan music from a nearby temple. "This is," Anna began, but she couldn't find the words. She turned to Elias, her expression saying everything she couldn't. "It's perfect," Elias said, finishing the thought. The villa's staff brought them fresh coconut water served in the husks, the liquid sweet and cool against their tongues. After they'd unpacked, they took a moment to absorb the silence, punctuated only by the calls of birds and the occasional rustle of the palm trees. The world felt suspended, far removed from the blaring horns and fluorescent lights of their home city. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, the couple headed to the villa's dining pavilion. It was an open-air space set atop a small hill, offering panoramic views of the rice terraces bathed in golden light. Dinner was a feast for the senses, a fragrant plate of nasi goreng topped with a perfectly fried egg, tender skewers of sauté lillet glistening with peanut sauce, and a side of sambal that added just the right amount of heat. Elias raised his glass of fresh mango juice, its orange hue catching the light of the flickering candles. "To us," he said with a smile. "To leaving it all behind." "To finding something new," Anna replied, clinking her glass to his. The meal stretched into the early evening, their conversation moving at an unhurried pace. They talked about the possibilities of the days ahead, temples to visit, foods to try, and paths to wander. The air grew cooler as the stars emerged, scattered like diamonds across an inky sky. After dinner, they returned to their villa, the path lit by lanterns casting soft pools of light. Inside, the villa was a cocoon of warmth and comfort. The bed, draped with delicate mosquito netting, looked inviting after their long day of travel. Anna stepped out onto the balcony for one last look at the world outside. Fireflies blinked in the distance, their soft glow mingling with the shimmering reflection of the moon on the pool. Elias joined her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Can you believe we're here?" he asked. Anna leaned back against him. "I think it'll take a while to sink in." "Well," he said with a soft laugh, "we have time." They stood there for a while, saying nothing, letting the silence of the moment fill the space between them. When they finally crawled into bed, the cool sheets felt like a gentle whisper against their skin. Elias pulled Anna close, and for the first time in months, they felt the weight of the world lift, replaced by a lightness they hadn't realized they'd been missing. The sounds of Bali lulled them to sleep, the chirping of cicadas, the distant hum of the gamelan, and the rhythmic rustle of palm leaves in the breeze. Dreams came easily that night, painted with the colors and textures of a world waiting to be discovered. As the villa settled into its quiet rhythm, Anna stirred briefly, her mind surfacing just enough to register the warmth of Elias's hand in hers. A soft smile crossed her lips before she drifted back into the depths of sleep, the gentle promise of tomorrow lingering like a comforting embrace. Chapter 2. Morning unfolded gently in Ubud, with the first rays of sunlight filtering through the sheer white curtains of the villa. The soft calls of birds and the distant crowing of a rooster drifted into the room, blending harmoniously with the rustle of leaves stirred by the breeze. Anna blinked awake slowly, her eyes adjusting to the golden hue of the morning. Elias was already awake, standing on the balcony with a cup of steaming coffee in hand, gazing out over the rice terraces that seemed to stretch endlessly into the horizon. She stretched languidly before slipping out of bed, padding across the smooth wooden floors to join him. "Good morning," she murmured, her voice still thick with sleep. Elias turned, a smile lighting up his face. "Morning," he said, handing her a second cup of coffee. "I think I could get used to this." Anna took the cup, savoring the earthy aroma of the Balinese Kopi Luwak coffee, renowned for its smooth richness. "This doesn't feel real," she said softly, taking a sip. The view before them was mesmerizing. The terraces glowed in shades of green and gold, kissed by the early sunlight. They spent the morning in quiet serenity, enjoying breakfast in the villa's open dining area. Plates of fresh tropical fruit, papaya, mango, and dragon fruit, were accompanied by delicate banana pancakes drizzled with palm sugar syrup. The food was simple but full of vibrant flavors, each bite a reminder of the island's abundance. Their first destination of the day was the sacred monkey forest sanctuary, a place Anna had read about with both excitement and curiosity. A short drive brought them to the heart of Ubud, where the sanctuary awaited, a lush jungle oasis filled with towering banyan trees, moss-covered stone pathways, and ancient temples shrouded in mist. As they entered, the chatter of monkeys greeted them. The long-tailed macaques were everywhere, swinging from tree branches, lounging on statues, or darting across the paths in playful pursuit of each other. Anna clutched her bag tightly, recalling the guidebook's warning about the monkey's penchant for snatching shiny objects. "Careful," she whispered to Elias. "I read they can be enthusiastic." Elias grinned, holding out his empty hands as if in surrender. "What could go wrong?" he joked, just as a young monkey scampered up and tugged on his shirt. The tiny primate looked up at him with curious eyes before quickly losing interest and darting away. They walked slowly through the sanctuary, marveling at its otherworldly beauty. Ancient stone carvings peeked out from the dense foliage, their surfaces softened by centuries of moss and lichen. One temple stood out in particular, its ornate gates flanked by imposing statues of mythical creatures. A guide approached them, his face warm and welcoming. "This temple is dedicated to the forest spirits," he explained, his voice calm and measured. "The monkeys are considered guardians. It is said they protect the balance between nature and humanity." As they continued deeper into the forest, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew cooler, and the canopy above seemed to close in, creating pockets of shadowed tranquility. At one point, they crossed a small stone bridge spanning a trickling stream, its railings carved into the shapes of coiling serpents. It felt like stepping into a myth, as if the world they knew had melted away and left only this place of quiet magic. They spent hours wandering the sanctuary, pausing to watch the monkeys interact. One family of macaques, an adult and two small ones, sat in a clearing, grooming each other with an almost meditative focus. Elias snapped a few photos, but mostly they simply observed, content to let the rhythm of the forest dictate their pace. By late morning, they decided to explore another of Ubud's treasures, the art market. The marketplace was alive with color and movement, a stark contrast to the serene forest. Stalls brimmed with an array of handcrafted goods, from intricately carved wooden statues to vibrant batik textiles and delicate silver jewelry. The air was filled with the scent of incense and the hum of bargaining voices. "Look at these," Anna said, stopping at a stall where woven baskets were stacked in neat, colorful piles. She picked one up, running her fingers over its finely crafted surface. Elias wandered over to a nearby stall displaying paintings. One, in particular, caught his eye, a vivid depiction of a Balinese dancer, her intricate costume brought to life in strokes of red and gold. "What do you think?" he asked, holding it up for Anna to see. "I think we'll need a bigger suitcase," she replied with a grin. As they strolled through the market, they struck up a conversation with an older artist sitting cross-legged in his stall. His work, a series of small carved figurines, depicted scenes from Balinese mythology. He explained the story of Barong and Rhonda, the eternal struggle between good and evil, his hands moving animatedly as he spoke. "Each piece holds its own energy," he said, handing Anna a small figurine of a barong. "This one will bring you balance and protection." Anna and Elias thanked him, tucking the small carving into their bag as a keepsake of their day. By the time they returned to their villa, the afternoon sun was beginning its slow descent. They spent the remainder of the day lounging by the pool, the stillness broken only by the occasional splash of water or the soft rustle of a passing breeze. Dinner that night was a quiet affair, a simple meal of grilled fish and steamed vegetables prepared with the same care and attention as a feast. Sitting under the stars, Anna leaned back in her chair, her eyes half closed. "Today felt like it came out of a storybook," she murmured. Elias reached across the table to take her hand. "And tomorrow, we'll write another chapter," he said with a smile. As they retired for the night, the sanctuary of their villa embraced them once again. The air was cool, the sheets crisp and soft against their skin. The quiet hum of nature filled the space, soothing their senses and drawing them into restful sleep. In their dreams, the forest, the art, and the stories of the day lingered, carrying them gently into the promise of what lay ahead. Chapter 3. The morning broke over Ubud with a golden hue, the sunlight filtering through the dense canopy and spilling into the villa's open terrace. The distant hum of daily life, scooters zipping through narrow roads, temple bells ringing, and roosters crowing, created a symphony that was uniquely Balinese. Anna and Elias woke slowly, luxuriating in the unhurried pace of their day. "Are you ready for this culinary adventure?" Elias asked as he sipped his morning coffee, the steam curling into the crisp air. Anna smiled, tying her hair back into a loose bun. "I've always wanted to learn how to make satay properly. Let's hope I don't burn the kitchen down." Their plans for the day revolved around a Balinese cooking class, a highly recommended activity by travelers and locals alike. The class promised not only hands-on experience but also a glimpse into the island's rich culinary traditions. A friendly driver named Nielman arrived to pick them up, his car stocked with cold water and an infectious enthusiasm. "You'll enjoy today," he said, navigating the winding roads. Balinese food is not just taste, it's culture, history, and spirit. Their first stop was a bustling local market, where the group of participants gathered to select fresh ingredients. The market was a sensory feast. Bright piles of chili peppers, turmeric, and lemongrass filled one stall, while another displayed stacks of fragrant pandan leaves, kaffir lime, and galangal. Sellers called out in Bahasa Indonesia, their voices competing with the chatter of buyers and the occasional clatter of crates being unloaded. "This is where all Balinese dishes begin," said their instructor, Ketut, a petite woman with a warm smile and boundless energy. She handed Anna a basket and guided them to a stand filled with spices. "Balinese cooking is about balance. You'll see." As they moved through the market, Ketut shared stories about each ingredient. "This is baskad," she said, holding up a bundle of shallots, garlic, and chilies. "It is the heart of our cuisine, the mother spice mix." Elias, intrigued, picked up a piece of turmeric. "And this?" Ketut nodded approvingly. "Turmeric is for health and spirit. We use it in food, drinks, and even offerings." Once their baskets were full, the group traveled to Ketut's home, a traditional Balinese compound surrounded by lush greenery. The cooking area was an open-air pavilion shaded by a thatched roof, with wooden countertops and neatly arranged utensils. As they settled in, Ketut introduced her team, who demonstrated how to prepare the dishes they'd be cooking. The menu for the day included sauté lillet, minced meat skewers, sambal mata, a raw, spicy shallot relish, and the iconic nasi goreng. Each recipe was broken down step by step, with participants encouraged to chop, mix, and taste as they went along. Anna found herself finally chopping shallots under Ketut's watchful eye. "Not too thin," Ketut advised, adjusting Anna's technique. In Balinese cooking, even how you chop affects the flavor. Elias was tasked with grinding spices using a stone mortar and pestle. The rhythmic sound of his work mixed with laughter from the group as he wiped sweat from his brow. "This is harder than it looks," he exclaimed, drawing smiles from the other participants. As the morning progressed, the pavilion filled with the intoxicating aroma of grilled meat, citrusy sambal, and fragrant rice cooking in coconut oil. Each participant prepared their own sauté, carefully wrapping the minced meat around lemongrass sticks before placing them on the hot charcoal grill. "Don't rush," Ketut said, demonstrating the technique. "Cooking is meditation. You feel the food, and it feels you." By the time lunch was ready, the table was a colorful spread of their collective efforts. The skewers of sauté lillet were golden brown and perfectly seasoned, while the sambal added a fiery kick. The nasi goreng was a masterpiece, each grain of rice coated in spices and topped with a crispy fried egg. Anna took a bite of her sauté and closed her eyes, savoring the explosion of flavors, sweet, spicy, smoky, and tangy all at once. "I can't believe we made this," she said, her voice tinged with pride. Elias, equally impressed, nodded as he sampled the sambal mata. "This tastes like sunshine," he declared, earning a chuckle from Ketut. As they ate, Ketut shared more about the cultural significance of food in Balinese life. Food is sacred here, she explained. It is not just to fill the stomach, but to nourish the soul. Even before we eat, we offer some to the gods to show gratitude. The group listened, captivated by her words. The atmosphere was relaxed, the kind of communal intimacy that arises when people share both effort and reward. After lunch, the class concluded with a small ceremony, where Katup presented each participant with a recipe booklet and a small token, a wooden spoon engraved with Balinese motifs. On the ride back to the villa, Anna and Elias were quiet, their hearts full from the experience. The cooking class had been more than just a lesson in cuisine, it had been a window into a way of life, a reminder to savor not only food but the process of creating it. When they returned to their villa, the afternoon sun cast long shadows over the pool. Too full and too content to do much else, they lounged on the deck chairs, recounting the highlights of the day. "You know," Anna began, turning to Elias, "I think this trip is teaching me something." "What's that?" he asked, shielding his eyes from the sun as he looked at her. "It's okay to slow down," she said, her voice thoughtful. "To take your time with things and really feel them. Even something as simple as chopping shallots." Elias laughed softly. "That's a good lesson. I think I'll carry it with me when we go back." As the evening descended, they enjoyed a light dinner of tropical fruit and tea, too satisfied to crave anything more substantial. The day had left them with a sense of fulfillment that went beyond food. It was the joy of learning, connecting, and being present. Later that night, as they drifted off to sleep, Anna's mind lingered on the rhythm of the mortar and pestle, the scent of spices, and the warmth of Katut's laughter. In the quiet of the night, she felt a deep contentment, a sense of having truly tasted life in its richest form. Chapter 4. The morning air was crisp and tinged with the scent of frangipani as Anna and Elias prepared for a day of exploring Bali's famed temples. The hum of the island seemed to vibrate at a different frequency today, a little slower, a little more introspective. They had arranged for Nyoman, their friendly driver from the previous day, to guide them to some of the most sacred sites on the island. "Today, you will see the soul of Bali," Nyoman said as they climbed into his car. "The temples are not just places, they are living spirits." Their first stop was Turta Impul, a water temple famous for its sacred springs. The temple complex was bustling with activity as locals and visitors alike gathered for purification rituals. Women in traditional kabayas carried ornate offerings of flowers, rice, and incense, their steps light and purposeful as they approached the shrines. Nyoman handed Anna and Elias sarongs to wear, a symbol of respect for the sacred grounds. "When you enter a temple, you must be humble," he explained. "It is a space shared with the gods." The temple's entrance was marked by a split gate, its intricately carved stone covered in moss. As they stepped inside, the sound of flowing water greeted them. The main courtyard featured a rectangular pool fed by natural springs, its surface shimmering under the morning light. Jets of water cascaded into the pool through sculpted spouts, each representing a different aspect of cleansing, purification of the mind, body, and spirit. A temple guide approached them, offering to explain the ritual. "If you wish, you can join the locals in the holy spring," he said. "It is a tradition of renewal." Anna hesitated for a moment before nodding. "I'd like to try," she said softly. Elias followed her lead, and the guide helped them tie their sarongs securely. As they stepped into the cool water, Anna felt a shiver run through her. The pool was shallow but alive with energy, its surface rippling with movement as participants waded from one spout to the next. One by one, Anna and Elias stood beneath the spouts, letting the water cascade over their heads. It was cold but invigorating, a sensation that seemed to strip away more than just physical tension. By the time they emerged, their smiles were soft, their eyes brighter. "How do you feel?" Elias asked as they dried off. "Lighter," Anna replied. "Like I've left something behind." The temple guide nodded approvingly. "The gods are kind today." Their next destination was Gunung a temple complex carved into towering cliffs, accessible only by descending a steep flight of stone stairs. The walk down was an experience in itself, the path lined with lush greenery, the sound of the nearby river growing louder with each step. When they reached the base, the sight was breathtaking, a series of ancient shrines etched directly into the cliffside, their massive stone facades standing as silent witnesses to centuries of devotion. The air was cool and damp, heavy with the scent of wet earth and incense. "This is one of the oldest temples in Bali," Nyoman explained, his voice hushed. "It is a place of connection, to ancestors, to nature, to time." As they wandered among the shrines, Anna marveled at the intricate details carved into the stone. Despite their age, the statues retained a sense of vitality, as though the spirits they represented were still present. Elias lingered by a small altar, watching as a local woman lit a stick of incense and whispered a prayer. "What do you think she's asking for?" he mused aloud. "Maybe nothing," Anna replied. "Maybe she's just saying thank you." The couple spent the afternoon exploring the temple grounds, taking their time to absorb the serenity of the place. When it was time to ascend the stairs back to the car, neither seemed in a hurry to leave. As the day edged toward evening, Nyoman suggested one final stop, Tanalot, a sea temple perched on a rocky outcrop surrounded by crashing waves. "It is best at sunset," he said. "You will see why." When they arrived, the sun was already dipping low on the horizon, casting the temple in a warm, golden light. The tide was high, separating the temple from the mainland, and the sound of the ocean filled the air, rhythmic and soothing. Anna and Elias found a quiet spot on the shore, their feet sinking into the cool sand. They sat in silence, watching as the sky transformed into a canvas of fiery orange and soft lavender. The temple seemed to glow, its silhouette stark against the vibrant backdrop. "It feels timeless," Anna said, her voice barely audible above the waves. Elias nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Like it's been waiting for us." A vendor passed by, offering small bundles of snacks. Elias purchased a packet of roasted peanuts, their warm, nutty aroma mingling with the salty sea air. They shared the treat as they watched the sun melt into the ocean, the sky darkening into twilight. Before leaving, they noticed a small group gathered near a shrine by the shore. Curious, they approached and found a priest offering blessings with holy water and flowers. Nyoman explained, "This is for the journey, wherever you may go next." Anna and Elias exchanged glances, then nodded, joining the line. When it was their turn, the priest sprinkled water over their heads and placed a small flower behind each of their ears. "Safe travels," he said in a voice that carried the weight of both tradition and kindness. As they made their way back to the villa that night, the car was filled with a comfortable silence. The temples had left a mark on them, something unspoken but deeply felt. The world outside the car window was dark, save for the occasional glow of lanterns and the faint outlines of rice fields under the moonlight. Back at the villa, Anna curled up on the sofa, her thoughts lingering on the day's experiences. "Do you ever feel like places can hold memories?" she asked Elias. "All the time," he replied, sitting beside her. "Today felt like walking through someone else's dreams." Anna smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "And maybe we're part of those dreams now." With that thought, they headed to bed, the gentle hum of the night wrapping around them like a blanket. Sleep came easily, carrying with it the echoes of flowing water, ancient carvings, and the eternal rhythm of the sea. Chapter 5. The morning sun rose over Jimbaran Bay, painting the coastline in shades of amber and gold. Anna and Elias stepped out onto the balcony of their new accommodations, a beachside bungalow that offered an unbroken view of the ocean. The salty breeze carried the faint sound of waves lapping against the shore, and for a moment, they simply stood together, soaking in the tranquility. "This might be the most beautiful place I've ever seen," Anna said softly, resting her head on Elias's shoulder. "It's hard to argue with that," Elias replied, slipping an arm around her waist. "And I think we've earned a day of doing absolutely nothing." Their plan for the day was as simple as it was appealing: to let the rhythm of the beach dictate their movements. After a leisurely breakfast of fresh pastries, tropical fruit, and Balinese coffee served on their terrace, they made their way down to the sand. The beach stretched wide and flat, its powdery surface warm beneath their bare feet. Jimbaran was quieter than they had expected, its calm waters and relaxed atmosphere a stark contrast to the bustling streets of Abud. Fishing boats painted in bright blues and reds bobbed gently on the horizon, a reminder of the bay's rich maritime culture. Anna spread a towel on the sand and sank into it with a sigh. "This is exactly what I needed," she said, tilting her face toward the sun. Elias, ever restless, wandered down to the water's edge, letting the cool waves lap at his ankles. As he walked, he noticed an older man repairing a fishing net beneath the shade of a tree. Curious, Elias approached, and the man looked up with a welcoming smile. "Good morning," Elias said, hoping his English would be understood. "Good morning," the man replied, his voice carrying the lilting accent of the region. "You enjoy Jimbaran?" "Very much," Elias said. "It's so peaceful here." The man introduced himself as Maid, a lifelong fisherman who had spent decades working the waters of the bay. "This place is special," Maid said, his hands deftly tying knots in the net. "The sea gives us everything: our food, our stories, our way of life." Elias crouched down beside him, intrigued. "Do you still fish every day?" Maid chuckled. "Not as much now. My son takes the boat out most mornings. But the ocean, it's part of who I am. Even when I am not fishing, I feel it calling me." When Elias returned to Anna, he shared the conversation. "He said the sea gives them everything," Elias mused. "It's such a different way of looking at the world." Anna smiled. "I think there's something beautiful about that. Living so closely with nature." As the day wore on, they let themselves be guided by the ebb and flow of the moment. They waded into the gentle waves, their laughter mingling with the cries of seagulls. They collected smooth stones and bits of sea glass, comparing their finds like children on a treasure hunt. By mid-afternoon, the sun's heat grew intense, and they retreated to the shade of a nearby cafe. The cafe's bamboo roof and open sides allowed the ocean breeze to drift through, carrying the tantalizing scent of grilled seafood. They ordered iced lime sodas and a platter of freshly caught fish, shrimp, and squid, grilled to perfection and served with sambal mata and steamed rice. "This might be the best meal I've ever had," Anna declared, her eyes wide as she took a bite of the perfectly charred fish. "It's definitely up there," Elias agreed, piling shrimp onto his plate. "There's something about eating seafood right by the ocean that just makes it better." As the afternoon melted into evening, the couple decided to stay on the beach to watch the sunset. They found a quiet spot away from the small clusters of other visitors and settled onto a blanket, their toes buried in the cool sand. The horizon was ablaze with color, fiery oranges and deep purples blending seamlessly into the darkening sky. Anna leaned back against Elias, her head resting on his chest. "This feels like one of those moments you never forget," she said. Elias tightened his arms around her. "Because it is." As the last rays of sunlight disappeared, the beach began to come alive in a different way. Lanterns were lit at the many seafood cafes lining the shore, their warm glow casting dancing reflections on the water. Musicians with guitars and soft drums strolled between tables, serenading diners with soothing melodies. Anna and Elias wandered over to one of the cafes, drawn by the sound of music and the sight of flickering candles. They found a table close to the water, where they could feel the sea breeze on their skin. The menu was simple: fresh lobster, crab, and snapper, grilled and served with a selection of sauces. Their server, a cheerful young man named Wayan, brought them a platter piled high with seafood and smiled. "The catch is fresh from this morning," he said. "Enjoy." The meal was a feast, each bite bursting with flavor. They lingered long after their plates were empty, sipping on cold bintang beers and listening to the music. The musicians stopped by their table and played a soft, romantic tune that made Anna laugh and Elias blush as they swayed to the rhythm. "I think they're serenading us," Anna teased. "Who could blame them?" Elias replied with a grin. The night wore on, and the cafe began to empty as other diners drifted away. The couple stayed, their chairs angled toward the sea, watching as the moon cast a silver path across the water. As they walked back to their bungalow, the beach was almost deserted, the sound of their footsteps muffled by the soft sand. Fireflies flitted among the trees, their tiny lights winking in the darkness. Inside, they settled onto the porch with cups of hot ginger tea, letting the quiet of the night envelop them. Anna looked out at the ocean, its surface shimmering faintly in the moonlight. "Do you think it's possible to fall in love with a place?" she asked. "I think it's inevitable here," Elias replied. "There's something about Bali, it just pulls you in." As they prepared for bed, their hearts were full with the simplicity of the day, a day that asked for nothing more than to be lived fully, moment by moment. As they drifted off to sleep, the sound of the waves carried them, like a lullaby sung by the sea itself. Chapter 6. The air was cool and crisp as Anna and Elias stepped out of the car, the silhouette of Mount Batur looming in the pre-dawn light. The mountain, an active volcano nestled in Bali's northeast, was known for its breathtaking sunrise views, a promise that had drawn them from their comfortable bed in the early hours of the morning. "Ready for this?" Elias asked, his voice a mix of excitement and grogginess. Anna adjusted her backpack, pulling her jacket tighter around her shoulders. "I think so. Let's hope the view is worth it." Their guide, a cheerful man named Kadek, greeted them with a flashlight and a reassuring smile. "It's about a 2-hour climb," he said. "We'll go slowly, so don't worry. The sunrise will wait for us." The trail began gently, winding through dense forests where the cool air carried the faint scent of earth and pine. As they ascended, the path grew steeper, and the forest gave way to open slopes dotted with volcanic rocks. Kadek led the way, his steady pace a comfort to the group. The darkness around them was alive with sound, the crunch of gravel underfoot, the rustle of leaves in the wind, and the occasional chirp of nocturnal birds. The stars above were brilliant, undimmed by city lights, and Anna found herself glancing up often, marveling at the constellations she could rarely see at home. "Look at that," she whispered to Elias, pointing to a shooting star streaking across the sky. He followed her gaze and smiled. "I think that's a good omen." As they climbed higher, the first hints of dawn began to creep over the horizon. The blackness softened to deep blue, then to a lighter shade that hinted at the warmth to come. The final stretch of the trail was challenging, with loose rocks that required careful footing, but Kadek's steady encouragement kept their spirits high. When they reached the summit, the view was nothing short of magical. The sun was just beginning to rise, its golden light spilling over the surrounding landscape. Below them, Lake Batter glistened like a sheet of glass, reflecting the fiery hues of the sky. In the distance, the peaks of neighboring mountains pierced the morning mist, their outlines sharp and majestic. Anna sank onto a flat rock, her breath catching not from exertion, but from awe. "This is incredible," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Elias sat beside her, handing her a bottle of water. "It's worth every step," he agreed, his eyes fixed on the horizon. Kadek unpacked a small picnic of banana bread, boiled eggs, and steaming thermoses of sweet Balinese tea. "The volcano is kind today," he said, gesturing to the clear skies. "Sometimes, the clouds don't let us see this." They ate in companionable silence, the warm tea soothing after the chilly climb. As the sun climbed higher, the landscape revealed itself in greater detail, the deep crevices of the volcanic crater, the verdant valleys below, and the endless expanse of blue sky above. After they'd had their fill of the view, Kadek led them to a small steam vent near the crater. The ground was warm beneath their feet, and wisps of vapor rose from the earth, carrying the faint, sulfuric scent of the volcano's breath. "This is why the mountain is alive," Kadek said. "The spirits of fire and earth live here." Anna crouched by the vent, holding her hand over the warm steam. "It feels like the mountain is breathing," she said, marveling at the sensation. Elias snapped a photo of her, smiling as she looked up at him. "It's definitely alive," he said. "I think we'll remember this for a long time." The descent was easier but required focus as they navigated the loose rocks and steep slopes. The sun was fully up now, illuminating the path and casting long shadows over the landscape. They paused often to take in the views from different angles, their earlier fatigue replaced by a sense of exhilaration. As they neared the base, they passed a small group of villagers tending to a field of vegetables. The villagers greeted them with friendly waves, and one older woman offered Anna a bunch of freshly harvested greens. "For health," the woman said, her smile radiant despite her weathered face. Anna accepted the gift with gratitude, tucking the greens into her backpack. "Thank you," she said, touched by the simple kindness. Back at the trailhead, Kadek bid them farewell, his enthusiasm undimmed despite the long climb. "You are strong hikers," he said with a grin. "I hope you take this sunrise with you always." On the drive back to their villa, Anna and Elias were quiet, the fatigue of the early morning catching up with them. But their thoughts were full, replaying the sights and sensations of the climb. When they arrived at the villa, they found a table set with a light breakfast, fresh fruit, yogurt, and pastries. The staff greeted them with smiles, and one offered a gentle, teasing comment. "You must be tired after chasing the sunrise." Anna laughed. "It feels like we caught it, though." After breakfast, they spent the rest of the morning lounging by the pool, their bodies grateful for the rest. The stillness of the villa contrasted beautifully with the intensity of the climb, creating a balance that felt deeply satisfying. As the day stretched on, they reflected on the morning's adventure. "There's something humbling about standing on a volcano," Elias said, his voice thoughtful. "It makes you feel small in the best way." Anna nodded, her gaze distant. "It reminds you how big the world is, and how much there is to see." That evening, they dined on a simple but delicious meal of Balinese-style grilled chicken and steamed vegetables, accompanied by the greens gifted by the villager. The food tasted even better knowing it was grown on the slopes they had climbed earlier that day. As they settled into bed, the memory of the sunrise lingered in their minds. The cool mountain air, the warmth of the steam vents, and the vibrant colors of the dawn felt like a dream, a fleeting moment of magic that had rooted itself deeply in their hearts. Sleep came easily, carrying with it the quiet power of the mountain and the promise of more adventures to come. Chapter 7. The soft hum of the boat engine was the only sound as Anna and Elias leaned against the railing, watching the turquoise water shimmer under the morning sun. Their destination, the island of Nusa Penida, rose in the distance, a jagged silhouette framed by the endless expanse of ocean. Known for its dramatic cliffs, hidden beaches, and crystalline waters, Nusa Penida promised a day of discovery and wonder. Their guide for the day, a lively man named Wayan, stood near the helm, gesturing enthusiastically. "You'll see," he said, his voice carrying over the wind. "Nusa Penida is different from Bali. Wilder. It's where the spirits of nature live freely." The boat docked at a small, bustling harbor, where local fishermen unloaded their morning catch and visitors prepared to explore the island's treasures. Wayan led Anna and Elias to a waiting car, its tires crunching over the uneven dirt roads as they began their journey. Their first stop was the iconic Kalinking Beach, a viewpoint famous for its cliff shaped like the neck of a Tyrannosaurus rex. The car climbed steeply, the road narrowing until it opened onto a small parking area surrounded by towering cliffs. Wayan gestured for them to follow, leading them down a short path until the view revealed itself. Anna gasped audibly, her hand flying to her chest. Before them, the cliff jutted out into the ocean, its rugged edges covered in vibrant greenery. Far below, the beach glowed white against the turquoise waves crashing onto the shore. "It looks like a postcard," Elias said, his voice tinged with awe. "No," Anna corrected. "It looks better." Wayan chuckled. "This is why people come here," he said. "But not everyone goes down to the beach. The trail is steep and not for the faint-hearted." Elias glanced at the path leading down, a precarious descent carved into the cliffside, with wooden railings that looked more decorative than functional. "I think we'll enjoy it from up here," he said with a grin. They spent time soaking in the view, snapping photos and simply marveling at the beauty of the landscape. The sheer scale of the cliffs and the wildness of the ocean below made them feel wonderfully small, like spectators in the grand theater of nature. Their next stop was Crystal Bay, a tranquil cove known for its excellent snorkeling. The water was impossibly clear, revealing a vibrant underwater world just waiting to be explored. Wayan handed them snorkeling gear and pointed out the best spots to swim. "Stay near the coral," he advised. "You'll see the fish there, bright ones, big ones, all kinds. Anna and Elias waded into the water, their flippers kicking up tiny sprays as they adjusted their masks. The moment they dipped below the surface, the world transformed. Schools of colorful fish darted among the coral, their scales glinting in the sunlight. Sea anemones swayed gently in the currents, their tendrils home to tiny clownfish that peeked out curiously. Anna surfaced briefly, her face alight with wonder. "It's like swimming in an aquarium," she exclaimed. Elias nodded, grinning behind his snorkel. He gestured for her to follow him, pointing toward a particularly vibrant patch of coral. Time seemed to stand still as they floated, the gentle sway of the ocean lulling them into a meditative calm. After snorkeling, they dried off on the soft sands of the beach, the sun warming their skin. Wei-Yin approached with a small picnic basket, offering them fresh coconut water and a simple lunch of grilled fish wrapped in banana leaves. "This is the food of the island," he said, sitting with them. "Fresh and honest." The meal was delicious, the fish tender and flavorful with hints of lime and garlic. They ate slowly, savoring the moment as much as the food, their bodies tired from swimming but their spirits buoyed by the experience. The afternoon took them to Broken Beach and Angel's Billabong, two natural wonders that showcased the island's raw beauty. Broken Beach was a natural arch carved into the cliffs, creating a circular lagoon where waves crashed dramatically. Angel's Billabong, a natural infinity pool, glistened under the sun, its emerald waters inviting and serene. Wei-Yin explained the legends surrounding these places. "It is said that the spirits of the sea rest here," he said. "When you visit, you must leave your worries behind. Only then will you feel the peace of the island." As they walked along the cliffs, Anna felt a deep sense of connection to the landscape. The rugged edges, the endless horizon, the sound of waves echoing in her ears, it all felt timeless, as though the island had existed like this for centuries, untouched by the urgency of the modern world. The final stop of the day was a hidden beach Wei-Yin promised would be their favorite. The path to Atu Beach was steep and winding, but the effort was rewarded by the sight of a secluded cove framed by towering rock formations. The sand was soft and golden, and the water was a brilliant shade of blue that seemed almost unreal. They were alone on the beach, save for a lone fisherman casting his net in the shallows. Anna and Elias spread out their towels and sat quietly, letting the rhythmic sound of the waves wash over them. "This feels like a secret," Anna said, her voice hushed. "It feels like it's ours," Elias replied, reaching for her hand. They stayed until the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange. As they made their way back to the harbor, the car filled with quiet contentment, Wei-Yin turned to them with a smile. "Nusa Penida is not just a place to visit," he said. "It is a place to remember." The boat ride back to Bali was calm, the water reflecting the stars that had begun to appear. Anna rested her head on Elias's shoulder, her eyes heavy with the weariness of a day well spent. When they arrived at their villa, the staff greeted them with warm towels and herbal tea, a thoughtful gesture that reminded them of the island's unending hospitality. As they lay in bed that night, the memories of the day played in their minds like a gentle tide. The cliffs, the fish, the quiet beach, they were images they would carry with them, etched into their hearts as a testament to the beauty of the world. Sleep came easily, cradled by the whispers of the ocean and the lingering magic of Nusa Penida. Chapter 8. The final morning of their journey dawned gently, with sunlight spilling into the villa through wooden shutters and the scent of frangipani wafting in on the breeze. Anna and Elias stirred slowly, savoring the stillness of the moment. It was their last full day in Bali, and though the thought of leaving brought a pang of sadness, there was also a sense of fulfillment, a feeling that they had gathered enough memories to carry with them long after they returned home. Over breakfast on the terrace, they planned their day. "Let's keep it simple," Anna suggested, sipping her tea. "Maybe some shopping in Insomniac and one more temple visit?" Elias nodded, smiling. "I was going to say the same. Something relaxed to end the trip." They took their time getting ready, relishing the luxury of unhurried moments. By mid-morning, they were on their way to Insomniac, a vibrant district known for its boutique stores and cafes. The streets were lined with colorful shops selling everything from handcrafted home decor to designer clothing. The air buzzed with energy, a contrast to the serene landscapes they'd experienced earlier in the trip. Their first stop was a small shop filled with intricate wood carvings. Anna ran her fingers over a beautifully detailed statue of a Garuda, the mythical bird that is a symbol of protection in Balinese culture. "This would look perfect on the mantel," she said, holding it up for Elias to see. He grinned. "Agreed. Let's add it to our collection of memories." They moved from shop to shop, picking up small treasures, a woven basket for their kitchen, a pair of silver earrings for Anna, and a hand-painted batik wall hanging depicting a lush rice terrace. Each item felt like a piece of Bali they could take home, a reminder of the island's beauty and spirit. As the afternoon stretched on, they stopped at a trendy cafe for lunch. The open-air space was shaded by leafy palms, with a menu that blended local flavors with modern twists. Anna ordered a dish of gado-gado, steamed vegetables with peanut sauce, while Elias opted for a seafood curry served with fragrant jasmine rice. "I'm going to miss this food," Anna said between bites. "It's like every meal here has its own story." "We'll just have to learn how to make it ourselves," Elias replied. Another excuse to come back for cooking lessons. After lunch, they headed to their final destination, Uluwatu Temple, perched on a dramatic cliff overlooking the Indian Ocean. It was a fitting place to end their journey, a site that embodied both the spiritual and natural beauty of Bali. As they walked along the cliffside path, the sound of waves crashing far below filled the air. The temple itself was simple yet striking, its stone walls weathered by centuries of wind and salt. Monkeys roamed freely, their mischievous antics drawing laughter from visitors. Anna and Elias found a quiet spot on the edge of the cliff, where they could sit and watch the ocean stretch endlessly into the horizon. The late afternoon sun cast a warm glow over the scene, highlighting the jagged cliffs and the sparkling water. "This feels like the perfect place to say goodbye," Anna said, her voice tinged with both gratitude and wistfulness. Elias nodded, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "It's not goodbye," he said softly. "It's see you later." As the sun dipped lower, they joined a small crowd gathered for the evening's kikak dance performance. The rhythmic chanting of the performers filled the air, blending with the sounds of the ocean and the rustling of the trees. The dancers moved with grace and intensity, their movements telling ancient stories of gods, demons, and love. Anna watched, captivated by the interplay of light and shadow as the flames of the central fire flickered. She leaned closer to Elias, her head resting on his shoulder. "This trip has felt like a dream," she whispered. He smiled, pressing a kiss to her temple. "One we'll never forget." As the performance ended and the sky darkened into twilight, the couple lingered on the temple grounds, reluctant to leave. The stars began to appear, twinkling like tiny lanterns in the vast expanse above. The island seemed to hold its breath, as if sharing in their quiet reflection. Back at the villa that evening, they packed their belongings with a sense of calm. Each item they tucked away, souvenirs, clothes, even the sand-covered shoes, felt like a tangible piece of the journey they had shared. Before bed, they sat by the pool one last time, sipping on cups of herbal tea. The water reflected the moonlight, casting ripples of silver across their faces. "Do you think we'll come back?" Anna asked, her voice soft. "I know we will," Elias replied. "There's too much here to only see once." Anna nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I'm glad we did this. It feels like we found something here, not just in Bali, but in us." Elias reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "This trip wasn't just an escape," he said. "It was a reminder to slow down, to be present, to just be." When they finally crawled into bed, the sounds of the night, crickets chirping, palm fronds rustling in the breeze, wrapped around them like a lullaby. Their hearts were full, their minds at peace, and as they drifted off to sleep, they carried with them the essence of Bali, its beauty, its spirit, and the quiet magic that had touched their souls. The next morning, as the sun rose over the villa for the last time, they left with a promise, not just to return someday, but to carry the lessons of the island with them, wherever life might take them. The end.